Inspired by the Stranger Things theme. This is Tommy Truthful, Truth Mafia in the mix. We're running up the road, chasing answers to this. Is it science or ritual? Dimensions collide. Welcome to the upside down, where shadows reside. It doesn't hurt me. You wanna feel how it feels to look through the veil, see the secrets they conceal. Do you wanna know about the deal they're making? With fallen angels, dimensions awaken. Turns a portal open in Dimension X, merging the upside down with the world that's next. Is this what the elites are summoning through? Nibiru, the dark star, pulling strings in the blue. You and me, trapped in the Stranger Things scene, but the truth's more twisted than it seems. Swapping places with the unknown and the strange, playing with God's plan, trying to rearrange. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I'd get him to stop their plot. No running up that road, no running up that hill, no bridges to the dark side. Their plans would stand still. If I only could, I'd stop the portals from spilling through. No upside down merging with the view. You don't wanna hurt me, but feel the thunder inside. The clash of realms where secrets.
Welcome to another episode of Truth Mafia Podcast. This is a Truth Mafia / Conspiracy Cinema podcast today for you guys. And we're going to get into a couple things. We got an exciting show for you. Stephen King, The Institute. We're going to talk about the Montauk Project, Stranger Things, how the government was, kind of snatching up children with special abilities. And we just got some real exciting stuff for you today. Now, before we get going, this is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. Please smash that like button, guys. Share this video. Leave a comment down below. Help get the video in the algorithm. It really helps. And don't forget, get your Gematria Decode. You might be an 11 archetype. Find out on truthfultv.com. That link is down in the description of this video. If you're on X right now watching this, just go on your search engine, type in truthfultv.com, go down and you'll see Gematria email decode. You get a special image made for you for your social media. Your whole Gematria gets done, your first and your last name you were born with. It's all done via email, quite simple, very cheap, and it'll show you your source code. So we all have a source code attached to us. Some of us are NPCs controlled by the Saturn-Moon Matrix. Other people are first player characters. And then there's a very select few that are very powerful first player characters. And these are them 11 archetypes, or the Neo code, right? A Jesus Christ archetype. People that actually have the ability within them to bend and manipulate reality to their will. And this is not a conspiracy. Our government was really stealing children with special abilities, and using them, the CIA. So if you just look at the numerology, first player character 64 matching pineal gland open, which represents the awakened avatar, and then pineal gland sleep, the closed avatar, the sleeping human, the sheep, is 63 matching non-player character. It's all numbers. It's all a code. The Matrix was a documentary. It wasn't a movie. And I tell people that all the time. In the movie The Matrix, there are several people who wake up from the system. They learn to read the hidden code of the green letters and numbers of that matrix. It's called Gematria. Now, our calculator, we have that on truthmafia.com and truthfultv.com. There's two separate sites. If you want to decode, that's going to be over on truthfultv.com. And this podcast today is sponsored through Body Align and their energy wellness protection. All them links are down below. Use promo code TruthMafia. It protects you against the EMF, the 5G, the microwave radiation, which we are getting bombarded with. You see that little hologram back there? There's certain frequencies binded to that. And then it has the tourmaline, the shugnite, I can never pronounce that right, grounded up into that medical grade silicone. And it's just an amazing product. We got to get our boy Paranoid American pushing these too. You see all the Truth Mafia wearing them. It really helps a lot. You know, it's changed my life. And we also got the Nano Soma, which saved my life when I had that nano fungus on my damn leg from the chemtrails that was taking me out. Actually, that was from a spider bite, but it turned into staph infection. And I don't know what the hell happened, guys, but as you can see there, it doesn't look good. But 3 days later, I took myself off the antibiotics. I started taking that nanosoma, and now I'm back, back in good shape. So shout out to them. And my brother, Paranoid American, what's up, bro? How you doing? Whoa.
Yeah, if you like that Gematria calculator, that's basically fueled by the occult Decode, which I made after Tommy planted a seed, and I started looking into all the other Gematria calculators, and I found math errors, like simple math errors. So I decided to just make my own. And if anyone's got other suggestions, I'm going to be doing a lot of massive updates on that site this year. So I'm the one that made it. So if you got any questions or if you got any suggestions, you got a direct line right now.
Yeah, it's the best, guys, right here. So that calculator you see on truthmafia.com or truthfultv.com, it's powered by this right here, this amazing thing that my brother created for me. I kind of felt special, he created this for me. And then he had a, Paranoid American, he's always got to do something better than everyone else. So he made the best one. We have the biggest Chaldean Rolodex in the world. There ain't no one out there with more Chaldean ciphers than us. And we got to build our Latin one up, but then we got the dates. And say you're looking for dates in between dates, right from 9/11 until the Montauk project, in between them two things. You could look at that, and then you could hit the moon right here. You see that little moon?
Oh, I forgot that I even had this.
Yeah, and it'll tell you everything that happened on that day. So 7/26 of 2016, Hillary Clinton becomes the first female nominee for president of the United States. It's just an amazing website. It's also got the banned word list where if we're over here talking in code, guys, you might hear us say dewdrops, like what's going on in California right now. Hey, was that by the dewdrops? Well, what the hell are they talking about? What are dewdrops? Most people can read between the lines. But, you can go over here and say, oh, where's dewdrops? Find it on here, or this one, thrill oxide, which we'll be talking about a lot today. That's why they were stealing them children, to get that little thrill oxide right there. And then you hit this, and it'll show you all the banned words, or you can type in which banned word you're looking for. It's any word that you're not allowed to say, because the AI algorithm picks it up, flags your video, and takes it down. So see, my boy Paranoid American's a genius. He figured out how to get around that, and I love you for that, bro. That's a great thing. Like this one right here, the code red. That's what we were on lockdown for 2 years, guys.
And I forgot why sea urchin, but someone else told me that they use sea urchin for that.
Because it ties into the Kraken, and right. I know why. Yeah, I know why. It's tied into that Kraken archetype, the black goo. Dewdrops. Now, what's going on out there in California. It could be, I'm just going to say, it could be smart meters, though, people. I thought it might have been the dewdrops at first, too. But think about the smart meters on the crib, and that's all I'm going to say about that. You know what I'm saying? Because that thing could turn your freaking house into a microwave. Every cord that's in your house is plugged into that smart meter. And everyone has smart meters now. So they can run frequencies through that, hit one room, hit two rooms, or make the house go poof, poof.
Even crazier about those smart meters, I get this on my electric bill automatically. Like, I don't even have any special, but even the electric company, but anyone that adds these meters around your house, they can just analyze for frequencies. Like, I think you can go on Amazon, you can get these little clamps that go around the mains of your house, and it just detects all the different patterns and all the frequency sort of intervals, and it can tell you exactly how much you're spending on your refrigerator or how much is going on like a water heater. You don't even have to, it's not even smart. You don't got to go in there and like add information. You just put it on your mains and it does all the other work. It lets you know exactly what devices are turning on and off. It can even let you know like, hey, the refrigerator hasn't run in a couple of days, all just by analyzing the frequency of that. So not only can someone detect exactly what you're using and how much you're using it remotely, but you could even like simulate certain things. So like they don't even have to scan your house with the infrared anymore, the heat vision, to make sure you're not doing something that you shouldn't be with the electricity. They can just analyze that based on the frequencies and the intervals that you're just generating it by itself. It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy, bro. I mean, yeah, it's sad what's going on out there. First, they popped it off with the New Year's situation. We're not going to talk about that because my last video got flagged. But that was at by Trump Tower in the little cyber truck. They popped it off with that, and then boom, next thing you know, California's blazing. So, what do you think they got planned next, guys? But didn't I tell you this was coming when everybody was making fun of me after Lahaina? And I said, it's just the beginning. That was a test run. They know who we are. They used that that quantum computer named Tyler, to track, trace, and tag everyone that goes against anything they believe in. They know where you are, who you are, where you live, who you live with, how many people are there. You know what I'm saying? And I really do believe it's some type of depopulation agenda. And let's not forget about Smart LA 2028. And that's the rollout of the smart cities by 2028. And that's when the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles. So it's right in time for that, Little off topic here, but we had to touch on it. So let's get into, we're going to talk about Camp Hero, the Montauk Project, all of it. With this reality, for some of you guys that are new, I want to show you something real quick, because I was looking into Camp Hero and what they were doing. And whenever we look at breaking down this reality, it's like a computer game. And when you look at the central unit in the computer game, it's tied to that 137 number. That's Paranoid American's cousin's favorite number.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, whoa. And hologram devices 137, live forever, hamster wheel, mind control, butterflies, the gifted one, that's tied to the central unit in the computer game. And then you can even tie it to certain elements. The operating system's 56, which is tied to barium. And that's what they're spraying in the chemtrails. So that 137 number, guys, guess what it was tied to? Camp Hero. It's tied to Camp Hero. That blew my mind when I seen that. And then on top of Camp Hero, that famous picture with Stranger Things, it looks like I don't know why it reminds me of HARP. Maybe it's because it's a radar tower, but it just has this freaking HARP feeling to me. And weren't they using certain signals and frequencies there, Paranoid American, with all this mind control?
Well, the whole concept of this building that you're looking at right now is that there's a chair at the very bottom of this. I think it might even be in like a basement. And what they do is they wire up all this electricity to this chair, with may or may not have a helmet on it. And that somebody that has these advanced like telekinetic or telepathic abilities would sit in that chair, and they would just run the electricity through the chair in a way to sort of amplify that. And then this guy that I saw, I'm so glad that on the thumbnail you had Preston Nichols and Peter Moon, I think, on there. And Preston Nichols, he claims to have invented this thing. He's the guy in the flannel shirt. He claimed to have invented something called a delta T antenna, and the T more or less stands for time, and that he kind of claimed that he was able to amplify this enormous amount of energy in this patented way that no one else knows how to do, and that he could focus this telekinetic energy being sort of like amplified through this kid usually, and then use it to tear a hole into like time-space fabric. And that in one of these experiments outside Montauk, because Camp Hero is at the very tip of Montauk. I actually grew up in this area. My grandparents did. So when I went and stayed with my grandparents, I was right in this area. It's a crazy area, but that when they did this on one of these nights, it created this rift that allowed this sort of interdimensional creature or demon or monster to come in. And this is exactly the plot line of Stranger Things. They just lifted it directly out of this book by Peter Moon and Preston Nichols. It's actually a series of like 7 or 8 different books.
And what are the books called? Do you know, brother?
Yeah, it's called the Montauk Project. It started in 1992 with Experiments in Time, and then there was a whole bunch of follow-ups. There was Montauk Revisited in 94. There was one called Pyramids of Montauk in 95, and then it goes into like the Black Sun. There's a book on Pleiades. Like, it gets into UFO stuff, but the very first book talks about this Camp Hero and the Delta T antenna and tearing this rift in time. They also say that this was part of the cause of the Philadelphia experiment, where people got fused into the side of a boat, that was a result of this particular Camp Hero project. And then I think it's either in Revisited or in Periods of Montauk, they start making claims that all of this, these kids with these abilities, they started transferring them into the music industry, and that some of the music and the lyrics and the frequencies there. And I think he goes hard on the music frequency. I can't remember what 432 hertz versus 440. I'm pretty sure he goes pretty hard in the paint on that. But this is the whole premise, right? That if Stranger Things were to keep following this, you would eventually see 11 become like a pop star, and that would be wild because like the actress behind 11 could potentially have like a music or get involved in the music industry, which would make the story of Montauk Project come full circle.
And it probably will. That would be crazy because they love to do that.
Well, I mean, like movie star, music star, what's the real difference deep down, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, and they're using these kids with these certain abilities. They're kind of like modern day little witches, right? And they're casting spells on the audience with their music, which when you look at that 137 number tied to Camp Hero guy.
Oh wow, I didn't see that. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, 137 spells casting, 137. It's also tied to our favorite reptilian little friends. They're interdimensional buddies. Maybe that was something to do with what came through that rift. Mossad agents. Did you ever hear any connection to Mossad with Montauk? I didn't know if there was, but it definitely has some matching numerology with it. Anyways,
no, actually, that would be new to me. The only thing that I really know about Mossad is just the Jeffrey stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, they're involved in a lot, I mean,
of course. I mean, you would expect them to be at this point.
Yeah, they're probably. I would say they're one of the most powerful intelligence agencies on this planet. People always think the CIA, but Mossad ain't playing, dude. When it comes to artificial intelligence and shit, Israel is at the top of their game. You know what I mean?
Well, for context, this Camp Hero that we're look at how old this photo is. This was essentially like a remnant of World War II, I believe. So it's about 10 years after World War II is over. The relevance of the technology in this building is starting to just like flatline, right? Because now we've got at that point, by the 80s, especially 80s or 90s, when the book started to come out, we had ways to generate way more electricity with more efficiency that wouldn't require this huge tower and this huge satellite. So I think that, as time goes on, this becomes just like a remnant. It's wild to me they didn't knock this tower down, but if you look at modern day Camp Hero, it's a state park, but they've literally sealed off all these different sort of like underground rooms. They look like these caves, like a big door just going into the side of the ground, but they've like welded it shut with these huge metal doors and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And what do you think they got down underneath there, bro? I bet you that goes deep.
Well, there's been videos that I don't know if they're still all on YouTube, but of people breaking into Camp Hero and going in all the places that they could manage to get into. And at this point, it's all been picked apart because I think that they left Camp Hero officially in like the 70s or something. So it's, I mean, it's been a minute, right? It's been over a generation of people to go in there and pick. But the last videos from the early 2000s, they still showed that some of the old electronic equipment and stuff was there. It just had been abandoned because it was so outdated. So I would imagine there's probably still plenty of remnants from whatever was going on in there.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. So before we get going more into this, guys, because we're going to get into Stephen King's book, The Institute, which is very similar to the Montauk Project. They were also stealing children, and I've been reading it for quite some time now. My boy Paranoid American read it. I just want to plug him real quick, and his links are down in the description. The links that he asked me to share today, and he has a couple different projects that he's got going on right now. First of all, check out his website, guys. He's got one of the coolest websites, some amazing merch over here, paranoidamerican.com. Him and Donut they got custom Bohemian Grove play sets. Where are you ever going to find that?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Your Lego thing. I mean, that's crazy. And him and Donut Factory just finished up an amazing comic book that they raised over like 60,000. Thanks to you guys. My daughter got this, my youngest daughter. My mom reads it to her at night. I swear to God. And my daughter loves it.
It's a dope book, bro. It's not a joke. Like, it's all legit information.
Yeah, and this is my 6-year-old, and my mom's like, "Why'd you ever bring that damn book over?" She makes me read it all the time. But you know, I wanted her to learn about it and educate it. It's a kid book that actually talks about Morgellons, and you know, it does it in a way that it's not too harsh for the kid. But they need to learn about this stuff, guys. Imagine if we would have learned about this. And then he's got his new projects going on.
Yeah, these are the two new ones, because the one that I did with the donut, it's actually right there. I got to take the link down soon, but that one raised over 61 grand. So if you missed out on that, it'll be out maybe in like May of this year. But the two coming up after that, I've got this TitanicComic.com, and that's going to break down all the different Titanic theories, specifically about JP Morgan and Tesla and Astor and the Federal Reserve, and also like Jekyll Island. That's like one of my favorite topics of all time. And then another one, because me and Tommy both grew up during the Satanic Panic.
Oh, it was crazy.
For people that grew up in the 70s or grew up in the 2000s, you probably got no idea what it was like to have police come into your classroom and tell you that there were Satanists in vans that were going to like snatch you up if you weren't careful. Like you have police telling you this, the news telling you this, the parents telling you this. So it really was a satanic panic. So I grew up in that for 2 decades. You know, me and you were blessed, Tommy, to grow up in such a weird time. But I made a comic about it because I wanted to trace the origins of it. And there's so many books, and all they do is debunk it. They just say that it was like a Salem witch trials where everyone was freaking out over nothing. And I never really believed that. So this is a comic that I wrote about that explains exactly where the Satanic Panic came from. And it predates the 1980s by at least 100 years.
And any of you guys that are really in the know, that know why some of these celebrities live hundreds of years, and we're seeing pictures of Jay-Z from the 30s, well, you know about this word right here that we can't say. You know what I'm saying?
I can't believe this one even got published. Like, this one had a successful campaign and everything. So I thought for sure it would get taken down, but it didn't.
But yeah, you're such an amazing artist, and you really do work hard, man, at what you do. So I wanted to give you a little plug real quick. You know, and all them links are down below, guys. He does some phenomenal work. So go check him out. Go show some love. Go show some support. The one you guys purchased, the Illuminati comic book, that one's coming out. What'd you say, brother? May?
That one, the drop dead date is to have them all in the mail by May. But I mean, honestly, I'm waiting on the comics to get printed and then shipped to me. So I'm hoping to start sending them out in February. But we set May as like the deadline for that.
Oh, that's cool. That'll be a good time. And the one cool thing about you, man, you know, you're such a hard worker. You always make sure everything gets out to the people. You do what you promise. And I like, there's so many shysters online nowadays, so many grifters, and you're definitely not one of them. And I respect it.
I mean, this is a legitimate business, man. And my whole philosophy is that it's going to be so hard. Like, anyone knows about customer acquisition, but to get over all the boring technical part of that is like, if someone actually steps out on a limb and takes a chance and gets something from you, because I'm not selling like things that are going to save your life, right? These are luxury items at a certain point. So I want to make sure that anyone that gets anything from me, they get like an over-the-top experience. They're getting loaded up with like stickers and custom packaging, and like I got even my own like custom tissue paper and everything. Like, I try to make the best damn first impression that you'll ever get from anyone in this space. So I'm trying to be like the go-to for all of it.
Hey, shout out to Jay Dreamers too. Check out Jay Dreamers, guys. He just sent me his book today and a bunch of gifts, and I got his chips. And check out his website, jaydreamers.com, with the Z at the end. Jay Dreamers with the Z. I call him Dreamers, but he's got 2 books out now, and Ancient Oblivion and his Ancient Oblivion, The Plasma Apocalypse, and Ancient Oblivion, Return to Hyperborea. I'm going to get into that one tonight. So thank you, Jay. Thank you for that. And I didn't even, I don't get paid for that. I just did that out of the love of my heart. But
shout out Jay too, because he's doing this full time, just like we are.
Yeah, like us, man. This is what we do.
It's not a side project. This is the full project.
And of course, we want to bring the truth. I'm not like one of these people that just want to put out stuff so I can get likes and put out fake stuff. Like all them videos going viral right now and all them posts showing a blue. Did you guys see the post with the blue houses that the blue roofs are standing? They're all fake. It's all created by AI. I ran them through the AI tester this morning. I'm working on posts for them. I posted it to my Instagram already. So anyone that follows me on Instagram on Tommy Truthful TV, go take a look. It says like 70% of it was made by AI and like 30 or 40% by human. So that house, it detected the house was fake. So the house with the blue roof that looks kind of burned a little, that's fake, and the background is real. They just added that house to a burnt background. And
this doesn't even take AI, right? Like they could have taken a photo in Soviet Russia and painted it blue and made it convincing enough. So
yeah, it's so funny how they do it, dude. And but they did it for likes, and it went crazy viral. Paranoid American. There's 2 of them right now.
They beat us to it.
Well, I think they're doing it to throw people off the track, making us think of dues, because certain directed energies, they won't burn blue, or so that's the theory, right? It can't register it, but I'm sure the government's come up with some shit that can register the color blue now. They got plasma weapons, and plus, like I said, all they got to do is hit a little button on your house, that smart meter, poof, puff the magic dragon. You know what I'm saying? There goes the crib. So I think it was to throw us off the trail. But yeah, I'll be exposing that later. Don't worry. I'll be exposing them later. And before we get into Stephen King, the Institute, which we're getting ready to get into, I just don't want to forget this. Okay, guys, let me break this little 64 thing down real quick because we're coming up on the date. So remember when they first made the attempt on Trump? Shout out to my boy Matrix Codebreaker. He brought this to my attention. And this is such an important number. The number 64 is tied to the first player character. It's tied to the royalty. There's 64 spaces on a chessboard. It's a very sacred number. It's the mirror reflection of the number 46. You have 46 chromosomes, 23 from your mama, 23 from your dad. The 2 branches of modern day Freemasonry, the York with 13 degrees, the Scottish Rite with 33. Added together, it's 46. So the first time they try to get Trump, July 13th of 2024. And from that day until the second attempt, September 15th of 2024, was 64 days. And then from September 15th to 2024, That was the second one, right? That was the one down in West Palm Beach, Florida, they said, at the golf club. Which honestly, I still to this day, I haven't seen that one. The first one was so boring. That was the boringest movie I ever watched. So that was a terrible production, that first one. So I didn't even bother to watch the prequel. So from that day until November 18th, which is normally the 322nd day of the year in a non-leap year. And that was the day, if you guys remember the fall of the House of Usher, remember when we decoded that Paranoid American?
Yeah.
That was the day that was on the newspaper in the fall of the House of Usher, remember, November 18th, in front of that red-haired girl.
I didn't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me that you remember everything.
Yeah, my mind's like photographic, bro. I don't forget shit. But November 18th was also the day, Code Red started in 2019, the 322nd day of the year. They had the first 322 cases. That gets into the whole third strand, DNA, and then adding 3 strands of 22 to your 44 base pairs of DNA. But anyways, November 18th was no assassination attempt reported, but Ryan Wesley Roth's trial date was set for that day. So now the next 64 interval date is coming up, and that's January 21st. And why does that matter? Well, this is the 5-year anniversary since the first confirmed case of Code Red in the United States on January 21st of 2020. And where? Seattle. What do they have a flag of? What's their team out there? The Kraken, the sea urchin. So a lot of things happened that day. Trump went to some conference, I think Davos on that day. CERN had a big, huge meeting on that day, all in 2020 on this same day. All these strange things was happening. That was Trump's, I think it was his impeachment trial, but he was over in Davos kicking it with his homeboys, and the whole impeachment trial thing was going on. So this year on January 21st, I think there's going to be an event between January 21st and January 28th, the 128 guys, because that's the day we enter the year of the serpent, January 28th of 2025. And we see we're already off to an amazing start this year. And they like these 64 intervals. They've been doing it all last year. So I'm seeing if they're going to roll it out this year too. So just wanted to bring that up before we get into Stephen King, The Institute. So, brother, what did you think about this?
I was actually surprised that I liked the content of it. Like, I like the topic of it, but I don't know. I might just be like Stephen King'd out, but it just felt low effort. Like, I felt like I knew more about what he was trying to talk about in his book than he did. And I found a bunch of like math issues, and I don't know, like maybe like a thumbs down on Stephen King's writing, but this is probably one of the more interesting Stephen King books that you could ever read.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
JD, your 44 base pairs has nothing to do with your 23 chromosomes. You're talking about 23 chromosomes, my friend. Listen, you have ChatGPT. It's right at your fingertips. Go type it in, and it'll tell you that quick. These are two different things. But what'd you say, brother? I apologize.
That basically not a fan of Stephen King's writing, but I like the topic. But I feel like that me and you probably know way more about this topic than he did writing it. So it was a little embarrassing for some of the things he got into, and it weirds me out at how much he focuses on certain topics in his books. I'm even going to mention what they are, but he seems like a creeper.
Yeah, he is a creeper. He does have that whole creeper vibe. And
there's a one scene in particular with a large thermometer and Vaseline, and we're talking about like a school. So I don't know. It's a recurring theme that he seems to really need to be expressing.
He loves to express that one, doesn't he? And let me tell you, all of his stuff, dude, the Dark Tower, I like his movies. I love his movies. I'm a fan of his movies, but they're dark. When you really look into his movies and see the symbolism in them, you realize, oh, okay, this guy, he's been there. He's been at, some of these rituals. He's chilling at Bohemian Grove. He's seen a few things. You know what I'm saying? He's read the comic book with the panda on it. On Paranoid American's
Well,
website.
when you make yourself the authority on sort of, creepy topics and murder and like supernatural weird things, like it's not usually not sci-fi, it's usually like horror. And when you make yourself like a world-renowned famous person, you're going to end up attracting that. You're going to hear the absolute craziest stories. I bet you there's so many times that someone was like, hey, Stephen King, you want to come over to my house and see something really crazy? And he like goes and he sees something way beyond wild, because that's the guy that you would invite. That's the guy you would go and brag to if you were like some elite whoever that's a fan of his. You'd be like, I got something that'll really curl your toes, King.
Yeah, check this out. Look at my basement, dude.
Bro. Yeah, I bet you he's heard that more than just a couple times. And he's had been like, yo, let me get out of here.
Look at my basement, or come down in this.
Yeah.
Let me take you down in this pizza shop. Let me show you what's going down here behind the spaghetti. So the Institute centers around this group that abducts children who possess extraordinary psychic abilities. They're referred to as psychs or psychics, right? And they subject them to experimental testings. And the primary aim is to harness and weaponize these abilities for the Institute. Now, the protagonist in it is Luke Ellis, a 12-year-old boy with, he has telekinetic powers. So they had telekinetic powers. The one dude, he could like manipulate fire, dude. That's the one I want. I want that power. That power right there. Pyrokinesis, I believe it is, right?
Yeah. Well, everyone was classified. It's like a school that they snatch you off to, and this is where you're going to spend the rest of your life, basically. But they got 3 degrees, ironically. And the first you go into is just like kind of like a normal school. And at this point, you're either classified as a TK, meaning telekinetic, or a TP, meaning telepathic. And that's usually how they separate everyone, and depends on what kind of test they're going to run on you. So yeah, those are the 2 classifications. And then after that, they put you to work. After you're done with your training, they put you to work in something called the back half. And when you're in the back half, some people end up getting both powers. So they'll be a TK and a TP at a certain point. Now they can do telepathy and telekinesis. And the other thing they do in this back half is they combine powers. So like 3 or 4 kids or maybe more, they get together. So if there's one that has telekinesis and no telepathy, and one that's got telepathy, they can sort of combine their powers and do all these remote sort of events.
Yeah. So, and what in real life they do this, and they were using these kids to kind of use them as a psychic weapon. So think in real life, guys. Let me give you an example. Michael Hastings, right? Remember Michael Hastings? He was over there hanging out with them generals, and that volcano went off, and then he got stuck over there a little too long. He started running his mouth about Obama. Next thing you know, he gets back to the United States, and his car wrecks into it. Just like takes off at about 120 miles an hour and slams into, I think, a tree. Now, everybody's thinking the military took his car over, but what you don't know is they could use these children that are linked up. You got like 6 of them together that link, and they can focus their ability on a picture of his, a shirt of his, whatever, and cause him to wreck off the road, cause him to become very depressed, cause him to, take his life. And the CIA was actually doing this. They have declassified files. I'm going to show you a file here in a minute where they actually patent how to walk through walls. So they've been messing with this type of stuff for quite some time. They truly believe in it. Just like with the Montauk project, they were messing not just with children in that chair, they were messing with time travel there too, weren't they, Paranoid American?
Yeah, well, that's why it was the Delta T antenna, and that's part of what they were trying to do, is that not only could they spy on someone in current times, but they wanted a way to go back in time and spy on somebody then. Or in at the towards the end of this book, The Institute, they start talking about precogs. And if you ever read or seen the movie Minority Report, based on that book by Philip K. Dick, he also had this concept of these precogs, which is means precognition, so that basically once you find someone that's got this certain type of telepathy and telekinesis that can like traverse time, that you become a precog, and now you can figure out what's gonna happen. And I guess they even make a point of it in this book, which comes from some of that CIA research, that if you are precognizant of things that are going to happen within the next hour or the next day or the next week, those are usually the ones that are the most accurate. And the longer the time in the future that you've got like a precognition of, then the less reliable it is. So in this particular book in the Institute, they talk about that. They talk about some of the things that they're trying to have effect on are happening within hours or days, but there's also examples where they're talking 10, 20, 25 years into the future, that they're using these precogs to then determine what sort of events and who they want to take out.
Right, bro. Yeah, it gets. What is a? Wasn't there a movie with that? What was that movie? Damn, with the precogs in it. It was
Minority Report.
Oh yeah, Minority Report. You said that, right?
Yeah, that in Minority Report, they got these 3 precogs that like sit in this isolation tank, John C. Lilly style, and that whenever they determine that a crime's going to happen, it like etches itself on this little wooden ball and it like rolls down. But that was how they were able to eliminate crime. But the same thing happens in this book, where someone asked the question, well, like these precogs get to sort of sit at the height of civilization. They get all of the bells and whistles and VIP treatment when they're not doing their precog thing. So why wouldn't they just lie and make stuff up and like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, so that they can retain their position as these sort of kingmakers?
Right. Yeah, yeah. Them precogs look crazy as hell too. And for my people, JD, read this real quick, JD, on the base pairs of DNA sequences. I don't want to get into it too much because there's a reason I don't elaborate, because I'll get taken down, but it gets into the Rona and the third strand, and they're trying to add the 3 strands of 22, which is 22 plus 22 plus 22, right? That adds up to 66. Now, if you type in the word corona, go put it in your Gematria calculator, it equals 66, matching black goo. And you see what it says on here. So it's them trying to manipulate the human genome, mixing the iron and clay, if that helps you out any bit on that. Because I felt like I came off kind of as a dickhead there. So I apologize about that. But yeah, maybe that'll help you out a little bit. And you can research more on it. But you were thinking of chromosomes. We've got 23 chromosomes. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But yeah, man, it's pretty nuts what our government has done. Do you think they have a bunch of these people out in society? Like, have you ever heard of the super soldier program?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of a few variations on this, but even the movie Universal Soldier was kind of a premise on the super soldier program.
Okay, so this kind of ties in with all this we're talking about, the Institute, the Montauk Project. Like, they were putting some of these kids through some really horrendous, type of pretty much torture. And some of them were being trained in the super soldier program. They would have them raise a pet dog, and then have to take it out, or maybe one of their classmates were their best friend, and they would see these two buddying up or bonding. They'd make one of them take the other one out. Or you said something one time too. They would just walk up and take one out to show them, like,
Yeah, bro, there's a couple crazy ones. These ones come from a book by Fritz Springmeier called the undetectable mind control Illuminati. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but if you search those, Fritz Springmeier and undetectable Illuminati mind control, but they've got a whole list of them that they describe. One of them is a fire test where they've got people in two different sides of a room with a glass in between them, like a window, and one room just gets set on fire, and the kids that are in the other room are witnessing everything that's happening because of that, and the ones that show any emotion or like flinch or look away, well, then they get to be on the other side of the glass, the next phase of that. And this is one way to weed people out that can figure out how to completely detach themselves from a situation. And the one that you were just talking about, this one's wild. He calls it the Daisy test. And in the Daisy test, it's like that game that kids play where they pick a daisy out of the ground and they'll say like, I love you not, I love you not, depending on like how many petals. And when you get to the last one, so they would do something like that.
Then
But
you
if it
pop the head
ended,
off. You pop
exactly, you would pop the head off at the end. But if they would do that with an actual daisy, and when it ended, if it was I love you not, then they would literally pop the head off, and all the other kids would see this, and and there was actually logic behind some of this. The first one was obviously this binary sorting algorithm. You just constantly figure out who can take this type of external stimulus and not freak out over it. Then you eventually weed yourself into the top amount of those. And then out of those, you show them that it's completely arbitrary, that everyone that made it that far in the process, they're not special. There's nothing about them that can prevent the authority that this institute kind of has over you. So that was just a way of saying, like, look at how random we're willing to either keep you or, expire you. And that's just that's like the final step to some of that programming. And that they also mention this in so many other examples in like Monarch programming.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of, bro? Dr. Sleep, Stephen King's book. Remember the first scene in these entities in Dr. Sleep? In like all of his books, guys, he talks about these kids having special abilities called the Shine. It's in all of them. Even the Dark Tower, he mentions it briefly in that too. And in the beginning scene, that little girl, her name is like Lily or something with a flower, Violet, I forget. And she starts, the vampiric entity lady, didn't she start plucking the petals off of the freaking flower in that scene, bro?
Oh, that's a great call. Yeah, that's a really good call.
Yeah, and then they ate that little girl. Then they ate her. Oh my god. Yeah,
well,
so
they basically inhale her, right? Because it's the steam.
Yep,
Yeah.
her steam. They inhale her steam. And see right here, guys, in this scene right here where I got, okay, so they got this little boy, number 19, on the ground. See, you can kind of see what that girl's doing up there. She's playing a trick on her, but Rose the Hat is not a good person, man. She's powerful, very powerful. See, they're all attacking that little girl. They're powerful. She's a powerful telekinetic, telepathic, and she's a dream walker. She can enter others' dreams. That's when she sits up on the RV and astral projects. Like right here, she got thrown back from that little mixed girl because she was much more powerful than her. This girl right here, what's her name? Jacob. No, that's not her. That's the boy. That's the boy they were killing. That's number 19. That's who they're killing right here when the little mixed girl sees them. And then
Again, there's a theme here, right? Like, I admit that you don't want to limit artists and like the things they're allowed to do or say. I'm not saying any like censorship, but
no,
I wouldn't, based on his books, I would never let this guy watch my kids.
Oh no, he's not watching my kids at all, dude. There's there's 100% a theme here. This girl right here, she's the one I'm talking about. She's so powerful. They would not let her in. It was called the True Knot, and they wouldn't let her in it because they were so scared of her because her ability, she could actually spy on them and see when they were hurting the little kids and see how they're eating the steam. And then this one right here, this girl, when they met her, they actually turned her in the beginning and made her one of them. So she had to die in this world, in the real world, and then she gets tethered to them. They're true not, and they live forever as long as they eat right, they feed right. Well, they don't live forever because she even tells her, she said, I thought we lived forever. She said, I never told you we live forever. I told you we live a long time if we eat good. She said, but we haven't been eating good in a very, very long time. And then you get to see the old man, this guy right here, the old dude. Let me zoom in on this a little bit for you guys. You get to see the old dude transform, and he starts to die, and he's shape shifting, and you can see his reptilian form when he's shape shifting. It's a damn reptilian demon. That number 237, bro. I see you got some gifts on your website with that number on it. That was the hotel room in Shining, right? 237, room 237.
Right, room 237, which was a detail that Stanley Kubrick specifically changed from the book in The Shining, and he did that allegedly based on your conspiracy theory at the moment. But one of the examples was that at the time he wrote the movie, the moon was known to be 237,000 miles from Earth, so that was a reference to the moon room, and that when Danny goes into that room, that's when he sees proof that the moon landing was fake, essentially, like this, like as if this were a biographical story about Stanley Kubrick understanding and entering this room that he could never leave again.
Oh my lord, that's crazy. They killed Stanley Kubrick, I believe. I think they took him out, dude. And I really do. That's number 19, the little boy. And he's so good. He has the shine, right? So he shines so bright. He has an ability, but he don't even know he has it. He's got not really a real powerful one, but a semi-powerful ability where he hits home runs every time. So some of these kids, they don't even know they have these abilities. But like that little girl, there's no hiding hers. She's like she shines like a galaxy, just like Danny. Like they see him no matter, he has to turn his power off because they see him. And this chick right here, she's a pusher. She's sitting in here with this pedo, right? He's a pedophile. He likes little kids. And she can touch you and whisper in your ear and make you do whatever she wants. So she makes him carve that on his face. So I like little girls. And when she goes to leave the movie theater, the Mexican guy grabs her and she whispers to him to let her go and go do something. And he listens, one of the vampiric entities. Then Rose grabs her and she tries it to Rose. And Rose says, I think not. You know, because Rose is much more powerful than her, this character right here. But yeah, there's something going on with Stephen King, bro. This is when she goes up here, guys, in dream walk. She steps out of her body in the astral realm and she goes searching for these children with these special abilities that they're going to feed on. This is a perfect representation of what the archons are, or what they say reptilians that feed on loose energy. It's kind of a representation of that, really. And this is when they put the girl down with the true knot. They have it. They have a little bonfire, a little party, and they don't tell her that they're actually going to kill her in real life. You know, before they bring her into this coven. And right here is when that little girl caught Rose the Hat dreamwalking. Rose the Hat was dreamwalking and broke into her brain when she was sleeping. But that little girl is so powerful. She caught Rose over going through these filing cabinets, looking through her life, her history. And that little girl slams Rose's hand in the filing cabinet. And Rose looks back and sees her stand up looking all demonic like that. And she's like, I knew you were coming. And then Rose is trying to pull her hand out. She can't get her hand out. And in real life, she finally rips her hands out and it ripped all the skin off of her. And when she came back into the real world, she came in so hard that it threw her off that RV. And that's when she's like, oh man, I got to have her. Did you ever watch this one, Paranoid American?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've seen every Stephen King novel that's been turned into a movie at this point.
Oh, you have this
I
one.
kind of had to when I did the NASA comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the moon landing. I had to sort of become like a somewhat of an expert on all of the different Stanley Kubrick lore, and part of that is also watching all of the Stephen King movies, just because of how influential The Shining was, and this one being the sequel to The Shining. Is kind of like mandatory to watch. It also dovetails into my Thrill Oxide research, which is honestly the same reason that I felt like I had to read the Institute, which I just did over like this last week, so it's mad fresh. But I kind of had to because, like you mentioned when we first started, the ending part of the Institute, it kind of touches on that Thrill Oxide topic.
Yes, it does. And remember, Danny was able to put them entities in these boxes.
Yeah, he had extra ability. Like you said, that's why it's called The Shining. He had so much of this ability that he had to figure out how to turn it off. Like he was emitting it all the time. And I think that's also something that goes unsaid in this particular book, in the Institute. But for whatever reason, this Institute place, they got some kind of radar. They can identify when someone has these powers because they immediately hone in on them as soon as it starts happening, right? They're still like young kids, so they're able to figure out who's got these abilities. And I think that's a nod to this Shining. Like they've almost got some sort of like shine detector.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating, and it's crazy that as they are harvesting, Crowley talked about it, Stephen King writes about it, all the elites, and then they all worship Crowley. And he was always talking about doing these rituals and that getting a child with a high IQ and prepubescent boy, very whatever the high IQ has to do with it, I don't know. But as they were actually feeding on the child here in the physical, to harvest that thrill oxide. And if you want to know what the thrill oxide is, you don't got to be a genius, but go on occultdecode.com and you'll see it right on the banned word list. You'll see what we're talking about, occultdecode.com. And as they're harvesting that in the real world, which stops their DNA, the telomeres that's in their DNA from withering, which is like your wick, your DNA. If you think of a candle and that's your life force, right? The candle is your life force. When it burns out, that's the end of your life. So that candle wick is your telomeres. They figured out how to stop it from burning. So they've not reversed aging, but they've halted it. They've kind of paused it, right? And this is where the whole ambrosia comes from, what they're doing out in California, where they said they learned it from mice and shit. No, they've been doing this for a long time. So out there, you can pay like $9,000 and have younger 18-year-old blood transfused into an older person, and it actually starts to cure them.
Yeah, they call them blood boys.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, bro. But that's old magic. That they've been doing this for a long time.
Right. A famous one is Elizabeth Bathory,
There you
who
go.
would bathe in in the life force of young children and like all of her maids essentially.
Yep, sure would. I mention her a lot too, brother. And yep, she would, man. And you're like, why would she do that? Well, watch Jupiter Ascending. Watch Jupiter Ascending when they go around and start harvesting these different planets. And when they're harvesting a planet, they let the planet reach its max population and then they harvest it. And what harvesting it means is they take everybody out. Well, it takes 100 humans to make one vial of this secretion. And that secretion is a representation of the thrill oxide. And they bathe in it. So when they go bathe in it, they hit them with these electrodes while they're under the water of it. It's all us. It's us. We are the fountain of youth. That's the secret. We are the fountain of youth. These vampires have been feeding on for generations. And in Jupiter Ascending, she's like, "How old are you? You're beautiful." She's like, I just turned 14,000 years old. Said, what are you guys, a vampire race? She's like, no, but we're where the legends come from, you know? And she's like, my mother was 90,000 years old. My mother owned the earth. And that's why her son, Balaam, which is a play on Balaam, her son, who killed her, who controlled all the reptilians and the gray aliens. Remember him, guys? He killed his mom so he could take Earth because Earth was worth so much money. And his mom, she wanted to shut this whole industry down. She wanted to stop harvesting people, you know, and they're like, what? Then we're going to start dying. That ain't happening. They said the only thing that is worth killing for is more time. And that's what it was all about, them living forever. Do you think, just me and you speaking here as two friends, do you think in real life, Paranoid American, I know you're more of a, I'm, you know, I jump into the rabbit hole with the bunch. You're more of a skeptic.
Yeah, definitely.
But do you think they have achieved some type of technology like this?
I think that they definitely have ways to prolong life, but I don't think 14,000 years. I think maybe there's a possibility of like 120, 140 being an actual realistic goal. I just don't know if it gets into like 200s or 300s. But honestly, I do think that technology through transhumanism, which is what they're after, that eventually they will get to that spot. There will be a time that it would be feasibly possible to extend life. Like there's an example. I might be wrong about this, but I think there's like a type of lobster that the lobster could potentially live forever. Because the main reason that most people can't live forever is because your blueprints, I don't even want to say the 3 letters, but your blueprints that's inside of your blood, that eventually deteriorates over time, and it makes it so that your body can't keep like making new skin and making new everything, because it's like distorting over time. But lobsters don't have that. So the only reason that these types of lobsters will ever die is because they get so huge and massive that they can no longer molt. They can't shed their skin anymore, and they end up just sinking because they get so massive. But if there was a way to make it so that you could like artificially keep this lobster alive so that it never sinks, you know what I mean? That you could potentially have this animal that lives forever, in the same way that they can take jellyfish that glow and merge that with like a monkey, and now they got a glowing monkey. I mean, that seems like it's within the realm of possibility. This is no longer sci-fi. So hopefully that answers. Like, I'm a skeptic, but I believe that they're aiming towards this. Even if it's not possible now, they absolutely want this.
Right. And now, see, me, I have a little different opinion than him. I believe they have this technology now. I not only do I believe they have it, I believe they can transfer consciousness already. But that's just my opinion. You know, I don't have no direct evidence on this, but I've read some peer-reviewed papers, what they say they can do, and it blows my mind. Now, have you ever heard of Agenda 2045?
You'd have to refresh me on it.
So this is immortality technology, Agenda 2045. And let me pull it up for you. They got their own website and everything, dude. They got peer review papers on here. They tell you what they're going to do. And you've heard of Ray Kurzweil's, his whole agenda.
Yeah, Ray Kurzweil's a guy that takes like an insane amount of pills in order to combat aging. It wouldn't surprise me if he's got a blood boy too, but I don't know if he prescribes to that. It's just another version of this like chemically assisted transhumanism.
Yeah, man. I think some of them are a little further. Like, are they mainstream? Is it happening? No. But behind the scenes, is there breakaway shadow governments that have this technology? Kind of like in King Kong, right? When they went down to level 33, that's where they had all the high tech and shit. Yeah, I do believe that there are people that breakaway civilizations that have that. Hold on one second. And more.
Well, I mean, I think for sure that you got small pockets of people that have the money, the resources, and the desire to do this kind of thing. So even if they haven't achieved everything, I'm positive that there's groups that are trying it constantly.
It's called the Initiative. The Avatar Project aims for human immortality by 2045. New Atlantis, bro. This shit is crazy what they think is going to happen. And like they say we're going to be a downloaded hologram by 20 here I'll show you right now by 2045, and there's all these papers written on it, like real doctors. I mean, it's crazy the people that were taking it. Yeah, they're really trying to do it. This thing, I know you looked into this before, right?
Oh yeah. This is basically talking about how close we can get to singularity. And this was
Right.
actually this was predicted in the anime Ghost in the Shell, which is the one of the main inspirations behind the Matrix. And the Ghost in the Shell, I believe, says that singularity is going to be happening in the next like 10 years, I think, from now. And maybe
Yeah.
it was like 2040, but it's within our lifetimes.
Yeah, well, but yeah, like 2030, 2035. So we're okay. So 2015 to 2020, a robotic copy of a human body remotely controlled via BCI. That's Avatar A, guys. Avatar B, 2020 to 2025. An avatar in which a human brain is transplanted at the end of one's life. So, maybe publicly we can't do this, but trust me, behind the scenes, the military is always 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us. They're doing that shit. Avatar C, 2030 to 2035. An avatar with artificial brain in which a human personality is transferred at the end of one's life. And then the final thing is Avatar D, 2040 to 2045, a hologram like Avatar, and that's in that phantom matrix or in the cloud, so we never die. This is why all the people that took the what are giving off IP addresses.
This is crazy because this relates directly to the thrill oxide research that I got into as well, because the whole reason that we even know what thrill oxide is because of funding from the 33rd degree Scottish Rite in the 1930s, and they decided they wanted to investigate something called dementia praecox. And basically dementia praecox back then was a catch-all term for dementia, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, all of these issues, but specifically in children. So they wanted to figure out exactly what was going on. And one of those reasons that I'll speculate on this is because if there were, like right now, you would pass everything to your kids, right? Like you would put them in your will, you give them your car and your money and all of your things. But imagine that not only that, but you could transfer your consciousness and like take over their body, right? Well, now the stakes are way higher. Instead of just worrying about not having someone to leave all of your riches to, now you want to make sure that your progeny is at the height of health, so that when you transfer your consciousness into them, then you also have this great body. But the problem was that you notice your kid has schizophrenia or dementia or goes into seizures. How do you fix that, especially when it might be the only thing compatible with what you've got? So they put all of their effort into this one field of trying to solve how to fix, the bloodline. And that's kind of where all this thrill oxide research originally came from in the 1930s.
You did such a phenomenal video on that. It got taken down on YouTube, but it went crazy viral on your Twitter. What's your Twitter?
Yeah, I'm gonna find a way to get it back out into some normie channels too, because it deserves to be seen by so many more people than just the people on Twitter.
Well, it's on Truth Mafia. Listen, on truthmafia.com, so you know how everybody has a channel over here, bro? I made everybody put it on their channel. No matter whose channel it is,
No,
that
thank you.
video is on every single person's channel.
I
So
feel it's important, man. Like I truly deep down, like all BS out of it. Like, I absolutely feel like it's an important video that needed to be made and people need to see, because everything else that I've come across on the internet is misinformation. It might have some good information, it might have some bad, but nothing that I was finding was like 100% accurate, so that you can't just cite it and then look like an idiot. So I wanted to have a reference that you can cite and not look like an idiot because all the receipts are provided.
Yeah, I mean, you got me hip to even looking into stuff more. Look, now it's starting the AI technology that's pulling the videos for me. See, look, it's on their channel right here, guys. This is what you type in on truthmafia.com and you can watch it right there. It's on every channel. I put on everybody's channel, bro, because I thought it was that important.
Thank you.
I'm like, this needs to be seen by everyone. And then I put all your links right there. Boom, 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 boom. You got your little thing down here. It takes them to your
I
Patreon.
want to try and get it on Netflix. I wonder if they would they would let it on there, but that's my hope. Or at least on like Amazon Prime or something.
Dude, it's good enough production that it should be allowed to be on there. I mean, I've never seen nothing. You put in such an amazing production value in this. Like, guys, when you watch this, it's next level. It really is. The only thing that pissed me off about it is it was 21 minutes long.
Yeah, what did it need to be? 33?
Well, truthfully, I wish it would have been like a documentary, like an hour and a half.
That can come, because I got a book that I've been writing on this, and that's kind of where the video came from, and that's where those viral Twitter threads came from, is the book that I've been working on for the last 3 or 4 years now. And as soon as I put that out, I'm hoping that'll be a launch pad into getting more exposure, so that a full-blown like hour and a half long documentary would actually be received, and I would actually be able to keep it up on some of these platforms.
Yeah, because that one, it deserves, it needs to be out there and be heard, bro. But I'll tell you what, we got the best team when it comes to the Truth Mafia. There ain't nobody messing with us. We got the best team of truth seekers out here, bro. Some are a little shabbier than others, but they're trying. They're trying. I still give them a shot over here. They might not be on our level, but that, I like to help people that are just learning and just trying. So you might find people like some new people that you never heard of over here. And it's because I seen their work and I thought it was good. So I'm like, okay, let me give them a chance. You know what I mean? My boy right here, he's amazing. Neftali 1981. He's phenomenal. He's next level. Jacob Israel. There's some really good people. But like the truth is, he's a Spanish guy. He does really good though. And he's not a huge name, but he was doing good work. So I decided to give him a platform. Dabo 7, he's been in the game for a long time, but no one was doing this before me, bro. Because everybody, I think they let their ego get in the way and they just worry about their self when we got to be promoting each other. If we were all doing this and now I got my own site too, guys, truthfultv.com. And that's where you can do your bookings over here. I got my shop over here. You want to get your Gematria Decode, you get it right there. Or down in the description, you can pay offline and just send me an email with all your first name, your last name, your date of birth, all that stuff. You can even text me, 234-425-2099. The information with your screenshot after you paid, and I'll do your breakdown. You know what I mean? There's 2 different versions, this one and this one. But we even got our own social media platform over here. Look at this, where you can share information with like-minded people. And Truthful Social now. Oh, look at the number, bro. 237. Synchronicity.
That's crazy.
We got 2,037 people in the Truthful Social. 2037. That's the year the world's probably going to end. I keep having that dream too. And there's a movie about it. This was Matrix Codebreaker playing with AI. Stable Fusion. So look, he has his own page. It's built kind of like Facebook, bro. You could come over here, have your own profile, bro, and people could follow you. It's set up just like Facebook. You got your own profile. Oh, look, he built me a Tommy Truthful one. That's nice of him. I'll have to check that out later. But yeah, it's pretty cool, man. This video right here will get me in trouble if I play it. But that girl was speaking some facts about the California fire. So, and then Mine and Paranoid Americans, Conspiracy Cinema is over here, guys. Now, we do own conspiracycinema.com, don't we?
Yeah, conspiracycinema.com right now. It goes to you can pull it up. It's got a page that's got all the movies that we've seen and done videos on, and even some other people. I got links to like other conspiracy theory breakdowns of videos, and then it's also got a list of all the movies that people have written in and asked us to review at some point. So if you got suggestions on what movie we should add to this list, I can go in and add it, and it'll pop up on the bottom of this.
Oh, this side is tight. It's kind of like Netflix.
Yeah, look, and I got links to everyone on the left too. J Dreamers, Ani, Truth Mafia, everyone.
Yeah, you got to put my Truthful TV up there, all right? You got my truthmafia.com up there. Just throw some truth. Oh, you even got Cosmic Sugar. That's my boy Logan. He thinks we're all NPCs. Shout out to Logan. I love him.
But yeah, all of these up there, these are all videos that me and you have reviewed at some point on the Conspiracy Cinema. And then once you get to the bottom of all these movies that are on the right, look at all these videos we've done, man.
We did a lot, bro.
Once you get to the bottom, yes. So now here's all the ones that we've talked about doing, but I don't think we've fully done yet.
We got to do this one. You got me hit to this, and I watched it and was so addicted. And I hate anime. I hate cartoons. But let me tell you, this right here, you want to talk about transhumanism? This one is amazing, bro. Did you watch it all yet?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think that you could probably watch the first like 3 or 4 episodes and get like a really good idea of what the series is about. But yeah, I ended up watching. I think that he went into like a second season.
Yeah. I didn't see the second season. I got to go.
I think I've seen pretty much every movie on here. I just haven't rewatched it and taken notes and screenshots and done like the whole breakdown.
Let's do Noah, bro. I want to do
Noah's so good. A lot of people don't like it because they were expecting something different, but that's based on a comic book about Watchers and Nephilim. And everyone thought it was just going to be some random Bible movie about Noah's Ark, and it's nothing like that.
No, actually, the Nephilim are made out of rocks. I didn't like that part, though.
I mean, it was artistic, but there's not a lot of movies that even address that topic at all.
Let me tell you something. So look, I never watched 2001: A Space Odyssey until 2 nights ago. Okay, never in my life. And everybody's telling me about Stanley Kubrick, all these Stanley Kubrick conspiracies. So I go watch 2001: Space Odyssey, and that's the one with the supercomputer that goes nuts, right?
Hal. Yeah, Dave, the HAL 9000. He's talking to Dave.
Bro, me and you can decode this. I caught so many catches that I bet no one else caught. So Stanley Kubrick, I researched, he was a lifelong chess player. So he's not going to mess up in his movie. And there's this part where the captain's playing chess with the supercomputer. And the supercomputer tells him checkmate. And then if you look at it, it's not even a real checkmate.
Right.
And so the supercomputer was testing him to see if he was paying attention so that it could, but that's how good of a director Stanley Kubrick was. Most people wouldn't even catch that, Paranoid American. But
right. When he was in his 20s, I think, instead of getting a job, he figured out that he could make more money hustling people in Washington Square, in Washington Park in New York, that he would just sit down at these chess tables and just run game on people, and he would make more money doing that. I think it was something like $200 he could walk away with a day, but this was in the 50s. Yeah. So he was making $200 a day just hustling people in chess. This was how good he was at it.
This one I haven't got to watch yet, but you told me it's phenomenal. You, Me, and the Apocalypse.
Bro, I've told everyone I know to watch this, but it's a little bit of a sleeper. But the whole freaking premise is about these elite like all the richest people on the planet, like the military, politicians, actors, like Hollywood stars, everyone, they all know that the world is actually going to be ending, and none of them are letting anyone else know about it because they don't want the rest of the people on the planet to scramble and get all the resources. So they've been stockpiling in these deep underground bases and these like subterraneous like shelters, and slowly people are starting to put it together, and it's about like a Catholic priest is figuring it out from like a theological side, but then you also got like scientists that are figuring it out. Like everyone's starting to put the pieces together, but at this point it's too late. Like everyone's already hoarded all the resources. It's such a dope premise. That's exactly what we talk about.
Kind of like what's going on in real life, probably. You know
that's what I'm saying, man. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Probably like what's really going on in real life, you know? And that's what it reminds you of. But yeah, dude, you did a good job with this. I like how it's laid out. It reminds me of Netflix or something. So that's really
that was the inspiration. It was to look like a regular, because ideally what I want at some point is that you can click these and actually just like watch the movie or something. We talked about that in the past, but I got so much on my plate. But that's I'm glad that this site is even up as it is.
You could click these and watch the episodes, right?
Yeah, so the Amazon link will bring you to the movie on Amazon if you want to like watch along as you see the actual breakdown. And the breakdown is if you just click the little YouTube icon. And then as we get these on Rumble, or if someone else does another breakdown of Aquaman, for example, we can just pop another link in there. There's space for like, 100 people break down Loki. We got space to put 100 little links in there. So
where's the appendage link? There's no appendage link.
Oh, maybe that one got taken down. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, put that back up there. Put that from your Rumble or something.
Look at how many I can't believe we've broken down this many episodes.
We had so much fun together doing this. We got to get back into it. Appendage was so weird. You made me watch it, and at first I didn't. I thought it was stupid, but then it got so good. I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on with this little thing? Appendage. That was a good one. All the ones you thought weren't going to be good actually turned out to be pretty good. The Hunger Games sucked, remember?
Yeah, you kind of have to do some of those because everyone's talking about it when they come out. So I get that.
Barbie sucked, I thought. Oh, They Clone Tyrone was the favorite one I did.
See, but Barbie, I think, was fascinating to me because the end shows a legitimate, like we were talking about that Fritz Springmeier's undetectable mind control manual. Like they actually do one of those things in the Barbie movie at the very end. I mean, maybe this is a spoiler alert, but at the very end, Barbie is trying to mind control Ken, and they're trying to figure out how they can get full control over Ken. And what they do is that they all act helpless so that Ken like writes them a song, and they orchestrate this whole event so that they're on the beach and Ken comes up to Barbie on the beach. They're doing it to like all these different variations of Ken, and Ken is like putting all his heart and soul into this song, and she sits by and she lets him sing the whole thing. And then at the very end, she basically criticizes him, like bypasses everything that he's been going through. And at that exact moment, she instills this new anchor. Like they put their new programming in the Ken. And this is the most vanilla, like easy way to describe what Fritz Springmeier writes about. But Fritz Springmeier, his is something that you can't even mention on YouTube because of how horrible like the event. But it's essentially what happens in the Institute. The things that they do in the Institute to those kids is sort of what Fritz Springmeier implies they do in actual Monarch programming. So the Barbie movie shows the final step of Monarch programming, but in a way that you'd kind of have to understand it at a different level to see what they're really revealing in it.
So let me ask you about this with the whole Monarch programming. Have you ever heard the theory that they use the Wizard of Oz in the Monarch programming?
Yeah, this is, I think there's a CIA document that even cites, one of them is Alice in Wonderland programming, and then there's one that's Wizard of Oz programming, and that the Wizard of Oz is, out of those two, I think that one's actually got even deeper links, because Wizard of Oz was written by Frank Baum, who was a contemporary of, I believe, Helena Blavatsky. So when the whole beginnings of that society, like the concept of vril and all of that, this was like intertwined with Frank Baum. So he was knowledgeable of all of these things that we're talking about now when he was writing Wizard of Oz, and he bakes a lot of that into it. If have you ever seen the follow-up that Disney made that had Fairuza Balk, the weird witch chick from The Craft, where she plays Dorothy and she goes back into Oz, but it's like a wasteland. It's like an apocalyptic wasteland.
No, no, I never seen that one. Is it good?
It's crazy because it shows the actual occult symbolism with all of the sugarcoating completely removed. In fact, it didn't do great as a Disney movie because it scared kids because it was so dark. But like they turn all of the characters into stone. They take off some of their heads. There's like this whole aspect of magic. She has to put this magic ointment on these dead animals and bring them back to life so that they'll guide her around this Oz place. It's a truly wild movie.
Yeah, they use it in the dissociation and the trauma base. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but they get it for the child to dissociate and to shatter them into all these alter egos. So it's crazy. If you're reading the words up there, guys, I'll let you read that. I'll leave that up there while we talk for a minute, but it gets deep. It gets pretty deep, and they use different symbols like the monarch butterfly, the clock, the hourglass, the infinity sign, the spider, and the spider comes from the archons. They say there's two different archons, Paranoid. One that kind of looks reptilianish and one that looks like a spider. And it seems like the spider ones are the more gangster. Have you ever heard about this? The two different archetypes of the archons?
I have not heard about the spider.
Oh yeah, and what's that chick you said that does all the paintings of the spiders?
Oh, Louise Bourgeois.
Yeah, that's what I think that's a lot of that's what that's about. Yeah, dude. You could go on Google and type in the archons, the spiders, and I mean just that simple, and a ton of stuff will pop up. It blew my mind when I first started reading into it. The spider ones are supposed to be more interdimensional. And a lot of people talk about when they do DMT and stuff, they see them ones, the spider looking archons. And then you got the reptilian type of archons too. But the real crazy thing they use spider webs in this dissociation to create altars. The real crazy thing is it seems like they'll have like a handler that'll always come and save them when these type of rituals are going on. And then one day that handler, instead of coming and saving the kid like it has for the past year, on this day, it comes and it actually does the hurting of the child.
And this is exactly what I was talking about with that scene in the Barbie movie with Ken, that Barbie plays that role of like the one that's taking care of them, and then at Ken's most vulnerable moment she does the most unspeakable thing to him within the context of that movie. But that you can perfectly overlay that whole sequence with exactly what you're talking about with this Wizard of Oz programming.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy how they throw it right in our freaking face. I tried to watch that new one, Wicked, but that was stupid.
I watched it, but I skipped all the songs.
Oh my, the whole thing's a song.
Yeah, well, there's a good 40 minutes if you skip all the music because it's like a 2.5-hour movie.
Oh, it was terrible. I could not do it, dude. I'm like, this is the stupidest movie I've ever seen. I really tried, though, because I wanted to decode it with Anya Soru, but I couldn't get into it.
I had some note. I mean, my main note on it is that there's this obvious Disney planned programming that's now it's all companies, but Disney really spearheaded this in maybe like the 90s, and you see this theme in like Fern Gully, and you see it in Avatar and Brother Bear and so many Disney movies, including this Wizard of Oz, where it's essentially demonizing humanity. It demonizes everything, all the progress that we make, and it venerates sort of like the animal world. And in the Wicked movie, even though it's supposed to be about this integration of this witch that's got green skin, and she's been pitched as like this mistakenly as a bad guy because she's misunderstood, but really deep down, this school used to be taught by animals, and the animals used to be your teachers, and they would actually talk, but that because so many humans were coming through and they were knocking down the forest and they were, you know, encroaching on animals' habitats, the animals were losing the ability to speak directly to us. And if you look at the classic Disney movies, we're talking pre-90s, pre-80s, that was the most recurring theme, is that humans, or special humans like a Danny, like someone that would have the Shining, they could talk to animals, they could commune with nature. And that kind of gets completely inverted right around the time Walt Disney dies. And then the company of Walt Disney, they start inverting all of the original ideas that you could talk to nature. Now it's like nature is lashing back at us.
So, do you think there was at one time a point where we could actually speak to animals?
I don't know. I don't know if animals could speak in English per se, but like there's an idea called green language, or it's called language of the birds. And this was when people were supposed to be more connected to nature, and that if you could see that birds were flying in a certain pattern or a certain time of day, or like anything abnormal, that you would recognize these patterns in nature. So I think that that's an obvious example that, yeah, we could communicate with nature more easily, because you would notice, like how often are you outside looking at bird migration patterns, right? But if that's all you saw, and if the stars is all you saw, you would notice when something changes. But now, I mean, you know that the theories like that the sun's like a different color, and that the moon's in different locations and different sizes, like most people would never know because they don't have that frame of reference. So in that regard, it's just like, how far do you think that goes? Like, even when people could see the patterns of birds, were they even more sheltered from like their ancestors? So how much closer do you think we were able to communicate with animals? Like animal husbandry might not have been just teaching dumb animals to do stupid manual labor. It might have been way more to it.
Yeah, I do believe some people can speak to the animals. But we in upstate, you met my dad before, and we'll use this story with our closing because we did about an hour and a half. I know you're a busy man, but we in upstate New York, this farmer, bro, he shot this damn baby. Well, it wasn't a baby. It was like maybe an 8-month-old wolf, a real timber wolf, when we lived in upstate New York by the Catskill Mountains. And we healed it back to life. At the time, we had a dog kennel. So nobody in the kennel could go near this thing, Paranoid American. It was trying to rip them apart. Dude, one day I'm skipping school and everybody's looking for me. I'm hiding in the cage with the timber wolf, laying on him, sleeping. Me and him are chilling, bro. I used to feed him whole chickens. I would throw these chickens in there, and he would chase them around and eat the chickens. And he didn't like nothing like dead. If you gave him a dead chicken, he wouldn't eat it. He wanted to, to like
So
hunt
you're
it.
throwing live chickens in with a timber wolf.
Oh yeah, I was throwing live chickens. I was giving him pigs and all kinds of shit, dude. I was a crazy kid. I was getting baby pigs off the farmer, taking them, giving them to the timber wolf. He wouldn't eat it, or other way wise, he wouldn't eat. I didn't want him to die. He was my buddy. His name was Freedom. But one day when we moved back to the city, and he ended up escaping out of the cage and grabbed a little girl and tried to run in the woods with her. She was at the bus stop, and they shot him dead. But yeah, I could, my dad would probably kill me if he ever heard me tell that story. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. We had this Chinese guy taking care of the kennel, and he wouldn't feed him because he was scared of him. I was the only one that could go in with that thing. And dude, I've never ever been scared of dogs my whole life. Like any dog that's been evil and bit other people, I could always just touch them, kiss them, and they'd be cool with me. I think it was because I didn't fear them, though. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
that.
that was how I got on the good side of my best friend growing up in high school. His dad was like this hardcore biker. And he had this huge freaking pit, bro. Like he had it was like a pit Doberman mix that he literally would bring it on mountain climbing hikes with him and put a backpack with like rocks on this dog's back. Like I'm sure the PETA would have like had a field day with it, but this dog was jacked. And the first time I went over to their house, he gets up and he starts barking with this huge, like deep baritone bark that would scare most people, right? And I think it probably scared me a little bit deep down, but the only thing I thought of to do was just to yell at it, like, shut up, and just like walk by and kind of like bump it out of the way. And his pop saw me do that, but more importantly, the dog, like it respected me from that day on. Like I wouldn't have done it again. Like it was just I was feeling extra cocky. You know, I was in high school, so I probably had some sort of like chemical, sort of like fortitude going on. But anyways, like that ability to be able to like convey information non-verbally, like because they can feel that, like they don't talk human language, right? They're not listening to your English words, they're listening to the tone of your voice and your body language and your posture. So
Your
as long as you can
vibration,
convey that,
your frequency.
and I think that that's two-way, right? Like there was probably a point when people could just see an animal out in nature and tell like, oh, that thing's acting weird. Like right now, I honestly wouldn't know if a bird was acting weird or not unless it was doing something really crazy, like detrimental to its own self-preservation. But otherwise, I wouldn't really know if a migration pattern was a little bit wonky or if, you know, something was acting differently than it normally would.
Oh, look what Rhonda put here. I'm not going to repeat that, but Rhonda, that sounds, you might want to get some
Yeah,
VO5.
yeah.
Get
I
some,
wouldn't put that on the dog or the horse.
yeah, get some VO5 going on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, that's crazy. Rhonda's crazy that she would even.
You got to get some of that Truth Mafia body wash that's coming out this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have some Truth Mafia all natural oatmeal body wash coming to us
with some shungite in it.
with some Shugnite. No, we ain't gonna put no Shugnite in it, but we are gonna put some lemon juice in there. A little bit of lemon juice. So yeah, man, dude, I always have so much fun podcasting with you. I forget that we're even podcasting. We always laugh and have a great time. You know, I miss podcasting.
It's not easy to watch like a 2-hour movie 2 or 3 times and take notes and get it all together. So me and you have been talking about a format that we can scale way easier. So I think that I'm interested in if anyone's got thoughts on it in the comments even, but that maybe we do these little like individual movie review, like 5-10 clips, we play those, and then we just kind of like have a live show and talk about it like we did here. And that way we've got this sort of polished content that over time we can compile into like an actual series or something that will be worthy of putting up on like a streaming platform.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because our old ones were like long. They were like 2 hours because we had to break the whole movie down. So the format we were talking about, guys, I'll put like a 15-minute breakdown. You know, I'll do the Gematria part and all my symbolism I caught. And then Paranoid American, he'll put his like little, I say 10 to 15 minute each. Maybe probably 10. We each do a 10-minute breakdown. Then we can air it, you know, just like a video we play on here, like we did when we were playing this. And then we have a conversation about a half-hour conversation and keep it a tight 45 minutes of heat. Don't you think that's a good format?
I'm excited about that. I just want to figure out the best way. I mean, you saw all of those links that were on conspiracycinema.com, right? Like that's probably more that we could even get through in a year, even if we did one like every other day. But this is a step towards figuring out how to tackle that huge backlog of shows and movies that we want to break down.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And people miss it. I mean, people always ask, what happened with you and Paranoid? What happened with the Conspiracy Cinema podcast? And
Bro, I had to disappear for 3 months just to make that Illuminati comic happen. Like that 61K didn't just appear out of nowhere with no work. So it was a month of planning before that, which was all of October, and then actually the pre-campaign in November, and then running it between November and December. Like outside of those live shows that we were doing to promote that, Like I didn't have any other life. Like there was nothing else going on with me aside from just nonstop working. More work than I've ever put into any salary job or gig that I've ever had in my life. It went all into doing this.
Yeah, people don't realize the work that we really do put into this. Just to throw one of these podcasts together, guys, like the video I made, the newest one that's up on my Facebook that I did on the fires. If you go check on it's on Instagram and Facebook. That took me a day and a half to put together. And
Well,
then
brother, this book was 600 pages, right? It was like 570 something pages. Like this was a 600-page book that we attacked to read beginning to end just so that we could talk about it.
Yeah, just so we could do this podcast for you guys. So, it took a good, 8 hours out of each of our days to put that together, and then the thumbnail. And, we really enjoy doing this. But at the same time, people don't realize, like, I've turned it, this is something I love to do. So I've turned it into my life. This is what I do for a living too. And, if other people, they can't achieve that goal, don't hate on it.
Well, even better, man. Like don't hate on it and flip the whole way you're thinking about it. Think like, hey, like, do you want this to even exist in the world? And if you do, even if you get over your jealousy, or even if you get over like, oh, I wish I was doing that, like that's what we're here for. Like you can support to make sure that we can keep doing it. Cause like it's weird. Like that type of hate is so weird. Like, why wouldn't you just want someone to do what maybe you aren't able to do? Maybe you got other responsibilities, or you don't have time to turn into a complete schizo and start looking up like Gematria numbers based on TV shows and movies. Like, that's what we're here for. Like, we're here so that you can make sure that we can keep doing that and giving you all the highlights.
And giving you all the cool stuff, man. And guys, you know me. Any of the littler people that are trying to get into the game, do I not always reach down and pick them up? I'm the number one person for that. Any of my followers that ever ask me, hey, Tommy, I got a podcast I'm putting together. Can you help me? Of course. There was this one guy on Rumble. I told him my podcast with him. I haven't yet, unfortunately. I'm going to. But for like a month straight, bro, I kept his link in my description and promoted him for free just to help him out. I never met the guy a day in my life. He's just a fan of mine, and I do that all the time. That's why I built the Truth Mafia, to combat censorship, to try to help people get into this game. Because if we don't help each other, these elites are going to make sure people like me and Paranoid American don't exist. And then all you're going to be able to find is mainstream garbage.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get that Bohemian Grove playset. Like, it just won't exist, right? It'll be gone off the face of the planet.
Or you won't just be able to hear someone give you an honest opinion. I'm not saying I'm always right. Shit, I'm probably a lot of times I might be wrong. I'm not perfect.
my dad used to say this, that like, I'm not always right because there was one time that I thought I was wrong and I ended up being right.
Shout out to your dad. Is he still around, your pops?
Yeah. I just saw him last weekend.
Yeah, shout out to Paranoid American's dad, but that's real. And my grandfather, he's still alive, 85 years old. And thank you for this donation too. I really appreciate you. And look, guys, if you don't have money, you don't got to donate. You don't got to buy a Decode. You don't got to spend no money on no merch. Don't worry about that. Just hit that like button, share the video, leave a comment, help it get in the algorithm. That's doing your part. You don't have to worry about that. Not everyone can afford to do that. And that's why every month, the number one person that shares my videos, I give out 10 free decodes. And I reached out to the winners on Facebook. All you guys got to do is contact me. Go look in the comments. I hit you back up. There was one girl. She was really sweet. Hopefully I hear from her soon. She might already email me. I get thousands a day, so I just got to go through them all. But we'll be wrapping this one up. My boy right there, Alexander, he's been following me for a long time. Yo, Paranoid, are you seeing these comments?
Yeah, they whip by so fast, but yeah, like, shout out to all the different comments. Appreciate all you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate all y'all. What was you saying, Alexander? It would be awesome if you responded to me ever now and then like you used to, bro. I don't even know if you're seeing my message anymore. Yeah, I see you, brother. I see you. I'm talking, so I'm not looking at the comments the whole time. You feel I'm over here trying to do a podcast. It's nothing against you. You've been
Yeah,
following.
we need like this is what like a podcast producer would essentially be doing is they'd be pulling the things up we're talking about and showing the comments that we can react to. It's mad work to do it solo.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to dish you guys or we're trying not to read your comment. That's never the case, okay? So just know I love each and every one of you. I just don't have enough time in the day. I got 4 kids trying to do all this stuff. I'm trying my best, guys. And with that being said, we love y'all. We hope you have an amazing night. Alexander, keep doing that group you got on, and you're the one that does the group, right? On Facebook. I share all the stuff to your group. So if that is you, shout out to you. And make sure you guys go check out my boy Paranoid American, paranoidamerican.com, occultdecode.com, and conspiracycinema.com, which yes, he did sneak that one over on me. I should have bought it. But you gave me the chance, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't even believe I got illuminaticomic.com and titaniccomic. I got so many that I'll be dropping soon. You're gonna be like, how the hell did you get that name? Well, I've been sitting on some of these since like 2002.
Well, I own truthfulsocial.com. My dad's like, how the hell did you get that?
Right.
It's so close to truthsocial.com. And I'm turning that one into that's why I started that group, Truthful Social, on truthfultv.com. And then until my actual social media app is built that me and my boy Matrix Codebreaker 88 are going to be working on behind the scenes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're going to have like our own Instagram app, dude. But with that being said, guys, we love y'all. Knowledge is power. Check out all the links and we'll see you next time, man. Paranoid, this got an outro. So if you got to run, brother, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me.
Yeah, bro. I'm going to see you for the next one. We got more planned.
All right, brother. You have a great night, man.
Yo, we living in a sim, reality's a game. NPCs around us, they all look the same. Soulless entities controlled by AI. Quantum computer running life, asking why. Are you just a player, controlled by machine? Or a first player character, living the dream? Tap into the code, break free from the lies. Decode your gematria, see through their disguise. In the simulation, what's your role, what's your fate? Are you real or controlled, can you navigate? Elites use gematria, secrets in the code. Find out your archetype, let the truth unfold. Super quantum computer, pulling all the strings. NPCs moving like puppets on a swing. The Matrix got nothing on the life we lead. Green letters falling is the truth we need. Are you just a player, controlled by machine? Or a first player character, living the dream? Tap into the code, break free from the lies. Decode your gematria, see through their disguise. In the simulation, what's your role, what's your fate? Are you real or controlled, can you navigate? Elites use gematria, secrets in the code. Find out your archetype, let the truth unfold. Archetypes defined from NPCs to Neo. First players rise, let your true self show. Do